Jack here, JBF Music and Guitar Lessons. I'm back with another critique video for you. This is probably going to be more of an analysis or reaction because the guitarist in question is Eddie Van Halen. And I mean, what a legend, rest in peace Eddie. So I'm doing this for my signature licks videos. Whenever it's live I'll put it up there, but I'm basically documenting, checking out some videos, because this is the kind of process I go to find licks that they use a lot and ideas, so I thought I might as well record it and hopefully find a new kind of tidbits or bits of information I can't get into the signature licks. Yeah, if you like this, give a like and a comment. If you don't like it, feel free to hit the dislike and leave a comment as well. If you can let me constructively what you don't know, I can try and incorporate into future videos, which is what I'm sort of trying to do just now. Anyway, this looks like it's a live solo, so let's go for it. Those trousers, man. I mean, a lot of us have been living it in lockdown. Those look so comfortable. Of course he's blowing the smoke rings. Ever the showman. Ever the showman. So side note, that's interesting. It's something you don't really see so much anymore, probably because of the health reasons, but you don't really see cigarettes as props so much from solos and musicians as much. Like, you know, Slash and Van Halen and stuff, they used to leave them there, like the Rolling Stones. Don't get as much these days. So the things jumping out to me here are, first of all, he's starting off with, you know, he's sat on the stage. This is a showman. He knows what he's doing. He's sitting in the centre stage. You got the 3 spotlights on him there. And he's doing this nice, almost kind of bluesy, slightly mellow thing. I mean, it's still like in a rock context. And just his dynamic control is really lovely. It sounds like he's playing with his fingers here. So when you kind of spank the guitar there, that's a hint that he's going to start to build the dynamics here. That's what I'm guessing anyway. It's a nice chord progression he's got going on as well. That makes it better than just doing a kind of, you know, meandering thing. There's a definite kind of melodic theme that we can latch onto here. Okay, so it's gone into more of a blues now. The drums sort of quietly coming in the background. Nice touch. So that's cool. That looks like it was some tapped harmonics beyond the fretboard. You can learn about tapped harmonics with the eye up there. Okay, so there you heard a little blast of feedback before he did that dive bomb, and what Eddie used to do is he didn't really use I think he did his phase 90, but he wasn't really big into boosting, as like guys from the 70s were. We didn't have like the array of pedals that we do these days. So I think what he generally would do is more or less dime the amp, just keep everything kind of big. And when I've seen guys do videos on using Eddie Van Halen settings on the 5150, this seems to be the common trait. There's a lot more gain than they would have thought. What he's essentially doing, I think, is using his volume pot like as a boost pedal, so it's rolled down when he wants to play cleaner and then rolls it up when he's wanting to do the kind of lead stuff. I've done quite a bit on pot control before. You can check out the eye up there. Of course, he's going for a little drag in between when he's doing his dive bomb. As a side note, that guitar has retained its tuning quite beautifully. And the jumps in the air as well, brilliant. Okay, so I think he's, I mean, in all fairness, the title does say Solo Eruption, but it sounds like he's going to break into, I don't think Eruption exactly, I think it's going to be quite improvised. Some interesting symmetrical skills going on there. The other thing is, although I said he used quite a lot of gain, that's still, like, particularly by modern standards, like, not that saturated, so there's a lot of room for error here, and you could be really exposed when it's not quite as easy to play as everything, you know, is dialed up all the way. That was beautiful. There's a kind of, I almost think a stream of consciousness to Eddie's playing where like the licks just sort of glide into one another. It's almost like when you're falling asleep and some sort of thought appears and then it drifts into another one. Like that there, he just kind of went from like a little tapping thing into like a neoclassic idea, like essentially making noises, just the bow bow into a neoclassic idea, then on almost a kind of country ending. It's great. I'm stealing that one for sure. That's a classic one. That's a typical the doon 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 one. It's like solos like this when you hear how much of an influence he's had on Steve Vai and Paul Gilbert. It's quite incredible. Dimebag as well. I mean, the list is endless, really, isn't it? Any guitarist who tapped, pretty much, in a rock capacity at least. Oh. There was that lick again, that kind of going down chromatically. I'll probably put that one in the licks video. If I've not mentioned it already within the signature licks videos live, I'll link to it with the eye. The other thing I will say is he's really exposed here. It is just the guitar. He's not got like a ton of effects on, and he's playing really nice and clean. And in terms of the tone, it's really nice and spongy as well. I suppose it's that brown sound, isn't it? Where it's kind of quite full-bodied without being too dull. It's just on that kind of perfect low mid-range cusp for me, anyway. Yeah, so he kind of went on a whole tirade, and now we're back into a more recognisable part of Eruption. How he managed to pick the string accurately like that, I don't know. But I mean, the important thing is it worked for him. Palm harmonics, brilliant technique. Covered them before with the eye up there. It's a side note he's also using the stage well. He knows he's got a big arena to play about with here. I have to say, I really like this, how he's taking liberties with his own solo. So instead of playing the Eruption thing verbatim, he's doing bits of it and then he's kind of, going off on a tangent and then kind of coming back to it. It's a great way to do it. I think we don't often talk about in Eruption as well, like this tapping bit. It's a really nice chord progression, because essentially that's what he's doing. He's just outlining the chords with his tapping arpeggios. It's a really beautiful chord progression he's outlining as well. So it's not just the technique and the kind of innovation, but melodically it's just really nice to listen to. But like, if you heard that and you didn't know tapping was a technique, you would have thought it was like some sort of synth or some sort of bizarre instrument. I wouldn't have been able to correlate the two together, thinking that that's a guitar. It's a bit like the solo in Daft Punk's Digital Love. I mean, it's a guitar with a lot of effects on it, but when I first heard that, it was mind-blowing to me that a guitar could be played like that, and I was like, it's probably not guitar, that's probably a keyboard. No one can play guitar that fast. What did I know? And I still don't know much, let's face it. Lovely call and response and a thumbs up there. Beautiful. So I think what he did there was he pinged the spring in the back of his guitar. I don't think I've ever seen that done before. I knew that the pickups are loud enough that pick it up and make a weird noise. And what he's doing with that other bit for the creepy sounds is playing with the string beyond the nut. If I've got any cards left, I'll link to some stuff on that up there. But I've never seen the spring at the back pinging before. That's it, like, just such an innovative player. It's so many ideas. Adding in delay will really help out stuff like this, because even if you make a kind of like a bad bit of noise guitar, because it repeats, it sounds more legitimate. Again, the tuning on this thing, after this amount of abuse it's gone through, brilliant. Something that I always enjoy about his solos is there's a huge element of like kind of jamming. It's like, I think sometimes it's guided and he's like, oh, I know what noise this is going to do, but there's an element of kind of spontaneity where it's almost like when we say we play guitar, we think of it as more practically as we play, whereas like, you know, when you say like a child plays a game, they just sort of have fun. And here it seems like he's managing to combine both worlds of this like childlike enthusiasm for the instrument with a slightly more professional, refined approach where he knows what he's doing. Again, like, if I didn't know, you know, the stuff we know about guitar, if I heard that, I would have assumed that was like a Kraftwerk style synthesizer. So what he's doing there is he's hammering on the notes from nowhere, rolling up his volume very subtly, so you get like an almost violin-like texture, and playing with the delay, kind of slap back just to repeat the notes, if you're interested in how that's happening. Tom Morello, another player that he probably influenced. I just made that connection there just now. Yeah, so many players, probably all of us, let's face it. Another interesting thing about this kind of spontaneous playing is you're kind of leaving it all on the line. Like, when you hit it right, you hit it right, and when you hit it wrong, you hit it wrong. There's a video I watched a wee while back about Chris Cornell as a singer. I think it was a guest on SMG, the kind of Glenn Fricker's production channel. And the guest was saying that Chris Cornell was his favourite singer because he takes risks live, and sometimes it pays off and sometimes it didn't. I mean, for Van Halen, 9 times out of 10 it's paying off, but it's an interesting thing when you're kind of pioneering, whether it's on guitar or vocals, if you're experimenting with a new thing, there's going to be mishaps, and it's just hoping that the triumphs outweigh the downsides. Buckethead with the tapping he was doing there. That tapping's like another. I've seen him do that before with like a delay, and it looks like he's playing the guitar, just like having fun with it. Like, I think when he's doing that, if you asked him what to do, what he's doing, and break it down, he'd be like, well, I'm just doing rhythms, I'm just tapping it, and kind of laugh it off. I don't think he'd kind of break down into a big analysis of it. It's just a joy to watch, isn't it? So this is really cool. In a way, he's almost taken like a kind of fingerstyle blues riff or idea and then just adding his own eccentric Eddie spin to it. It's great as well. He's taken something that like could just sound like a kind of like, that's what you'd use to like learn tapped harmonics, like an almost an exercise, and he's just making it into a piece of music. I think what's really interesting about Van Halen, I was talking about that kind of taking chances thing, and while he's like pretty much nailing everything here, I don't think I've heard something go wrong at all. he's got that mix between that kind of rock spontaneity and slightly more refined playing, like a kind of post Paul Gilbert, post Malmsteen world where players got a bit more heavy on the technique, but he's still managed to keep that kind of rock thing. But it's not as rough around the edges as, you know, kind of the players before him, like if you watch old Hendrix clips. But a lot of the live stuff, for various reasons, is a lot more kind of raw, it's a lot more rugged. And Van Halen here is kind of taking that rock and roll thing, but still, you know, making it a bit more palatable almost. It's just interesting. It's rare for people to have that mixture. It's normally kind of one or the other. It's just as another point, he's been kind of running about the stage doing all this stuff as well, which makes it increasingly more difficult. This is a live musician. This is a guy who's cut his teeth playing the clubs, isn't it? There's some of that aforementioned pot control going on there. So there's something cool going on there. When I went with that note, I was thinking, you've hit the highest note, where are you going from here? And something almost kind of higher came in. I don't know if it's a bit of feedback or it's maybe a delay pedal that's been turned on and it's kind of looping the signal. If you know, fire it in the comments. And of course that's where you go, you get another instrument to come and you've gone up to your highest note, having started really mellow. Where do you go? You bring some of the bandmates in, of course. What a joy it would have been to be part of that crowd. It must have been such a lovely atmosphere. Alright, so one of the main pieces of feedback I got from doing these analysis videos before is that people would like to see with a guitar some of these concepts actually applied, to get an idea of how you can actually do them. So that's what I'm doing here. If you like me including these, do let me know with the old like in the comment thing. If you say specifically that you like this bit, this is good, because then I know it's worthwhile taking the time to do them, and you get more from it than it just being a kind of a watching analysis thing. So in terms of Van Halen stuff, when I mentioned pot control, I have covered this before, but just to go into more detail, you can get a lot of range for your volume knobs. A good way of exploring pot control is to first of all roll your volume all the way down to 0, pick any chord, I'm going to go with a G, strum it, and then just slowly roll your volume in just a tiny bit. So here, you can hear there's still dirt on the signal, but it's relatively clean. Now I've got a treble bleed mod in this volume pot. So what that means is as I roll the volume pot down, the treble stays present in the signal, it gets bled to the output. You know how when you roll your volume down, it normally becomes a bit duller and a bit more muffled, a bit warmer. So what I need to do to compensate is also adjust my tone pot. So I'm going to do the same thing. The tone is full here, I'm going to strum this G chord and roll my tone down. So it gets a little bit softer, a little bit rounder. Just cleans it up a bit more. So you can get really quite a clean tone. I'm going to afford a little bit more volume there. And we can get a bit more attack if we use our pick. And if you roll everything all the way up, it's almost like having a solo boost built into your guitar. Okay, so I talked a bit about symmetrical scales as well, so I'll just dive into one of those. The one I'm going to use goes out a tone, followed by a semitone. And you just take that across every string. So when you play it slowly, it sounds quite dissonant. So with this shape, basically whatever your note hears is the root. In this case it's an A. So this would probably work over kind of A minor, maybe an A or an A7. And the sort of thing Eddie would do with these is more or less just take a repeating pattern through the strings. So there's a few tricks there. The first thing I did was played kind of more slowly before I launched into the pattern. I was also using kind of pick muting. So I'm muting the string out by holding my pick against it after I play the notes for a really nice sharp staccato kind of thing. I improvised that, so I'm not entirely sure what I did, but it would have been along the lines of something like... play it a little bit slower. So lots of legato, and then the pattern I did, I think, was do it again more slowly. I mean, that's just a suggestion. You can take any of your favourite patterns and just apply them to the scale, and it's probably going to sound quite cool. Final thing I'll touch on here, I'm not too sure how well I'll get this because I don't know if my amp particularly cranked up here, was that kind of spring feedback thing he was doing. So, also because I got a lot of foam here, I might not have much luck, but it looked to me like he was just kind of pinging, flicking the strings. Right, I'll put a bit more gain on and we'll see if we have any more luck. So I've removed one bit of foam, I can't be bothered taking the others out to be perfectly honest with you. I cranked up the gain and put some delay on. I think if I hold my strings it's probably not going to make much noise. That's kind of cool. So I take my hand off the strings and hopefully we'll get some. So not too exciting. If you don't have the foam inside them, you'll probably get that nice kind of ping that he was getting out. The other thing that he was doing was playing with the strings behind the nut here. So with that one, if you do meet the strings here, you're more likely to get the sound of here rather than just the strings ringing out. Cool, like I say, hopefully some useful information for you. Still playing with this format a wee bit, so let me know what you like, let me know what you don't like. But yeah, feel free to do the whole comment, subscribe, notifications and all that good stuff if you feel like it. Take it easy guys.